say thank you for the applause, because after following Bill, I'm not sure I was going to get any by the time I was done, so I appreciated coming early. I was going to have this in the background playing, but the time schedule got all messed up. But this is one of the favorite videos I've found on the internet lately, and it ties in very well with the good, the bad, and the ugly. I'll let you decide who is who.
It's in the right order.
So just bear with us for a few minutes. Hopefully my internet connection didn't die. Oh boy.
Yeah, you now too.
Well, that's going to shoot my whole presentation. Just give me a second. No, not the whole thing. Give me a second, and I'll get it up and ready to get here.
Forms.
Oh, that's in the form already?
There's a message there.
Is that on the floor?
Oh, wait.
All right.
Oh, no, is that the...
What's that one say?
I got both of them. Maybe I should tell them about the missions.
Okay, here we go.
And we have today's entertainment. Like Baldwin, doesn't he?
considering that, you know, the nicknames kind of semi become the ranch, I thought, you know, that was an appropriate thing, especially when we were talking about the good, the bad, and the ugly, you know, and not to try to disparage eBay or anything. I used to be an eBay seller for 5-6 years, and I've never had a problem on eBay. I like Bonanza better. But I personally have never had a problem with eBay. I just like Bonanza better. My topic today is talking about running a maintenance-free booth. That's what I want to express to you today. A lot of the same things that everybody else has talked about today are going to be here, except I'm going to tell you how to do some of those things. I'm not necessarily a marketing expert. I don't consider myself a marketing expert. I'm not even a totally creative person. But if someone comes to me with an idea, I can usually help implement it. I'm on that side of the fence. So I'm going to show you some things today about how to make your booth run smoothly with as little work as possible. How to list items with as little work as possible, because what's the thing you're all lacking? Besides money? Time. Time. So anyway, running a maintenance-free booth and some other tricks of the trade here. Okay, first thing I want to talk about, I was talking at lunch to some people. I want you can only decide this. Should your user ID be the same as your booth name? We have a lot of booths where the booth banner is called Guest's Booth because they never changed it. You know, or they have a name that's totally different than the user ID. The URL that leads to your booth is based on your user ID. I use my user ID is Tom Wayne 1, but my booth is called Shopper Lane. So I've been thinking, should I change my user ID to Shopper Lane? You know, do I want that identity? Because it's about sometimes coming up with an identity, your own brand recognition too. Are you promoting you, your booth name, or your ID? Okay? So, you know, that's something you have to think about. Should you publish your own email address? And if you do, it doesn't have to be a personal email address. You know, you can get a Google Mail, Gmail address free of charge. A whole bunch of other services offer that. Keep your personal one separate than your business one. People say, I don't want all this stuff coming in. Do you know that we offer you a way to communicate with us through one email address and you have another one you can use for buyers? Mm-hmm. Some of you may not know that. We can track that. So you have that option. And, yeah, well, I already talked about that. Picking an avatar and a booth name. How many of you know what my avatar is? Shopping cart. I picked that for a reason. It was clear, distinct, high contrast, easily identifiable from across the room. If it was large, you'd go, that's the shopping cart guy. Okay, you may not remember Tom Wayne until you interacted with me a little bit, but I purposely picked that. I didn't want a picture of myself. I didn't want a picture of a dog or a cat. I'm not saying that those are wrong. I picked it because I wanted an identity. Shopper Lane was my business name, and it made sense to have a shopping cart, besides all the connotations of buying things. Okay? When you pick an avatar, a lot of you aren't aware, well, not you guys probably are, a lot of users aren't aware that you have to submit a square image to us. We have a square placeholder for that. So if you give us a rectangular picture, this way or that way, something's going to get cropped. So when you look at that, if you see a square placeholder or a rectangular placeholder anywhere on Bonanza, give us a picture in that format. That will help things a little smoother. Decide whether your logo, your avatar, should be black and white versus color. Is it going to be, if it's color, is it going to be unique and simple to reproduce? You're making business cards. You might make flyers to stick in your packages. Do you want something that photocopies well on a black and white copier? Or when you run out of color ink, you want to print it on a black and white ink, a black ink? So if you reproduce your logo and it has every color in the world in it, that's a 4-color process. That's a lot more expensive than a 2-color process, like black on green, blue on white, or blue on yellow, anything else. But think about that when you design your logo. And again, it's all about brand recognition. It's all about that. Now, if I got my internet working, it should work. There we go. That's mine. It can be reproduced in black and white. It can be reproduced in a grayscale. I can print this with a 2-color process, business cards, letterhead, whatever I want, instead of a 4-color process. Clean and simple. That's a choice you have to make. What do you want your avatar, your logo to be? I'll ask you some questions. Think of the first image that pops into your mind. McDonald's. What do you see?
Horses.
Kodak.
Okay.
The big yellow K, right? Kmart.
Okay.
Now it's K Smart. You know, put the smart back in the mark. That's their little tagline. Apple. You know that Kodak is the only word, I read this somewhere, is the only word that's pronounced the same way in every language and doesn't mean anything in every language. Doesn't mean anything. I used to think there was an Eastman and a Kodak guy. No, it just turns out there's a George Eastman. There was no guy named Kodak. So when you pick a name, when you pick your letterheads and your business cards, go for a look and stick with it. Your identity means a lot. When you buy a business, sometimes you're buying the identity, not the stuff inside the store. You're buying the goodwill, which is reputation, and the look and the identity. That's mine. This is, who's at the boutique? What's her name again?
I don't know.
I don't know. I think it's
Alright.
a crazy girl.
No, that's a simple one. It's not necessarily a 4-color process. You can almost do that with a 2-color process and the right tints and so on. But it's a nice, simple, plain one that gives you a little bit more color, a little more, I would call it a homesy one compared to mine, which is more, straight business look. And, there are different variations of these. I like the fact she's got the @ symbol in there, at the boutique, because that's her ID, at the boutique. Then here's one we all recognize. Roger. Okay? Roger's a hilarious guy. I've talked to him on the phone several times. He's crazy. But he's funny, and he's got a lot of good ideas. Roger changes his.
Yeah.
But do you notice the common theme? It's the crazy face, right?
Yeah.
In fact, this is today's theme.
Yeah.
Last week he was a Detroit Tiger on the pitching mound, but it was the same face. So whether you think about when you change your avatar, are you hurting your business or helping it when you change it on the forums, or you change it in your booth? People come to your booth, or they're a repeat buyer, and you've got a different avatar. Is that good or bad? You have to decide that. Roger solved the problem with his crazy face, and no matter what image he puts it on. All right, now let's get into the nuts and bolts, adding listings to your booth. Whether you import them from eBay, whether you upload them with a CSV file, comma separated value file, which is really works better if you use tabs, my experience, tab separated file, but it's still called a CSV file, or whether you type them in directly, whatever. Should you use HTML and get some kind of pretty colors, etc.? There have been people with problems importing from eBay because they had complex templates there. In fact, some of the templates didn't work too well. Bill made some improvements on that, and a lot more of those come over now. But some of them came out pretty horrible looking. Is it better just to have a plain text format, without the blue banner across the top, the flowers on the sides? That's something you have to decide. Personally, and I'm not the marketing expert, I kind of prefer a simple template if you have one, or plain text. You can still center the text, but black text or even a few colors on a white background looks clean. It's easy to read. But that's something you need to consider, okay? But if you want to make your stuff go up quickly, you want to control the content, again with what Judy and John and Phaedra, Phaedra hasn't talked yet, what Bill has said, everything else, is like, don't give them too much and put the right information in the right spots. Just kind of keep all the policies under those policy sections instead of sticking them into your description.